Alright, what's up guys? Cameron Norton Goings here, aka Fishing with KG.
And I'm BFO Vandy, or actually Jay Vanderjagt, aka BFO Vandy. As you can see, big fish only behind us, you know how we roll.
Yep, so what we want to do was talk about our top 5 baits, go through kind of like what colors we use, when we use them, what weather conditions, things like that. So we'll go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, man, you start.
Alright, so 5 for me is going to be the lipless crankbait you have here. I have the red-eye shad here. It's probably one of the better baits. I mean, bass just, I don't know why they love this color. I also have the, actually I don't even know what color this is, but it's a lighter color.
It's like a sexy shad.
Yeah, let's say it looks like a
Something like
sexy shad kind of. But it's still got the red eye in it. They love the red eye. I don't know what it is about it, but that really triggers the bass. So that is 5 for me. Throw these more so in colder conditions, I'd say. I mean, you can throw them really in any condition, but bass tend to bite better on them in colder conditions. So,
Most definitely.
I mean, if you're fishing in cold conditions and like you're having trouble catching fish, I would try to tie on a lipless crank, and you should be able to catch at least 1 or 2 on it. So.
Yeah, that's a solid one. Me and my friend Gabe, we crush them out there in Arizona on those, on the Salt River. They swallow those things. So number 5 for me is gonna be some sort of jig, but more specifically the swim jig. And this is a 6th Sense swim jig, and this is 6th Senses too. This is a hybrid jig, but you can definitely swim it. One place that I really like to use these is in grass. You know, you put it on a good medium heavy rod with a fast tip, and you can really pull it out of the grass, get a reaction strike from the bass. As far as colors go, me and KG are all about the naturals, you know, like especially when they're chasing bluegill, like black and blue with some orange, some chartreuse, and then obviously the natural green pumpkins. Those are definitely my top 2. And when they're chasing shad, like there's this one spot we go to, white's also a really good color, and those are probably my top 3 colors right there. But I've caught so many good fish on jigs, but more specifically swim jigs, because you know they're more fast paced, get a reaction strike. It's a really fun bite to load up on.
His 5th bait is my 4th, so I got this right here. This is kind of a more natural color. It's a pro model jig by Strike King, and I have a Rage Crawl trailer on the back of it. And then here I have a black and blue swim jig. I really use these baits. It really depends, like he said, in grass is good. I mean, they like to get that reaction out of it. And then swim jigs, you can honestly use different techniques with them. Sometimes you can just steady retrieve them and they'll hit it, but sometimes you got to use it like a pro model and kind of just skip it off the bottom. So that's what I like about the swim jig, is you can really do like multiple different techniques with it and it'll catch fish regardless. I have lost a lot of good fish on jigs. That's the only reason it's so low on my list. But I've also caught some really good fish on them. So, like you said, natural colors. If you're ever skeptical about what color to choose, I'd say just go natural, because the bass like the natural approach. They'll usually hit it more.
My number 4 is going to be something a little different. You know, most of these are power fishing baits, especially KG's got. But me, I fish quite a lot of places where, you know, it's really clear water. These fish are pressured, you know, they get fished for a lot. And I really like going with like any sort of Ned rig. You know, there's all different kinds. But obviously my favorite brand is Z-Man. These are all Z-Man products. And honestly, down there they just look like little crawfish. You know, bass and a lot of species love crawfish. And you put them on these little, you know, 10th ounce or 5th ounce hook, and you just finesse them. You know, you put it on a light spinning rod, light braid, light fluorocarbon leader, and just throw it out there, let it sink to the bottom, give it a couple pops or 2, but you don't have to do much with these. They do a lot of action on their own, especially the Z-Mans. They float, so really good feature to them. And you could also go weedless with them too. Same thing with colors. I mean, these are pretty much all very similar colors: natural, green pumpkin, watermelons. You know, like this one here kind of resembles like a bluegill with a little chartreuse at the bottom. It's definitely a top 5 bait for me. I've caught too many fish on it not to give it the credit it deserves.
Yeah. So number 3 for me is going to be the Texas rig, which I usually put a 1/4 ounce bullet weight on the line, and then I Texas rig, usually a Rage Crawl, but there's multiple different things you can put on this. You can put worms, craws, lizards, things like that you can Texas rig on there. But this color, green pumpkin, is by far my favorite of the rage crawls. I mean, I've caught tons of fish on them. There's also black and blue. I've caught a few fish on these, but I definitely catch more on the more natural color. And the way I use this is usually probably letting it sink to the bottom and just kind of hopping it, and sometimes you gotta pause it. You just gotta play with the fish. Usually you use this, I use it personally when the fish really aren't biting, like reaction baits, like crankbaits or chatterbaits or things like that. Like if I can't get a reaction out of them, I usually just play it slow with the Texas rig. And like I said, I usually just hop it off the bottom, but you can also, the good thing about this is it has versatility. You can hop it off the bottom, you can steady retrieve it, or I've honestly done it on top water before. I've never actually got a bite off it, but because these little tails, they flutter on the water on top. So if you hold your rod up high and just flutter it on the top, you can get a reaction off the top. I've seen some people do that. But this is definitely, I've caught probably, I think my second biggest fish on this, so it's definitely on my list.
All right, so number 3 for me, honestly, I'm surprised this isn't higher, but this is a frog right here. And KG and I know well that you can have some of the best days fishing, some of the most memorable, some of the biggest fish you'll ever catch are damn near going to be on a frog. For example, a couple of years ago, this pond in Indiana that I went there one morning and literally only threw a frog. It was the only thing you could throw. There was a bunch of grass on top of the water, and I caught, like, in a couple hours, over 20 fish, and 6 of them were over 4 pounds, all on a frog. And they were coming up out of the water every which way, and it was honestly insane. So to not put a frog in my top 5 would be ludicrous.
You know what's funny? I just watched that video.
You did?
Yeah.
Dude,
I was going through your page and I saw that video. I was like, oh my God.
You know what's even more crazy is I got more footage of that day that I have on my GoPro. I haven't put it up yet.
Dude, I was
stay tuned for that.
I was like, oh my God.
Lost files coming soon. Yes, sir. So this is like a natural bluegill color, but definitely I throw mostly either an all white, and as you can see, that thing is absolutely tore to shreds. The legs are gone, bite marks all over it, but definitely white and black. I throw black mostly at night because it's just an easier silhouette for them to find. But during the daytime or when they're chasing bluegills or shad or anything, I like to use that white color. Throw it on heavy braid, heavy rod.
I actually have the frog as my second. I mean, I've just had, it's insane how much fun I've had with the frog.
The summer and fall was crazy.
Yeah.
The frog.
So there's this local spot that we'll probably end up filming videos there here soon, because we catch a lot of decent fish there. But there was this one time at this antique pond where it was every single cast, I'm not even joking, we were throwing the frog, and like within 2 pops of a popper, it was getting it absolutely annihilated. It was insane. But usually what I use is a natural. You can see it's green, got some black on it, and then white belly. For some reason, I don't know why, the bass love a white belly. I also have this black frog. I haven't used it very much, but I have to use your tip of using it at night. So, because I know sometimes we get out there and catch some big ones at that pond at night. So this bait's just, I mean, it's awesome watching the fish come up out of the water and bite it. I mean, it just like pumps your adrenaline so high when you see it. And then you set the hook, and when you actually get the fish and land it, it's just amazing. I mean, you obviously, there's times you're gonna lose fish because they don't eat it right, but when they do actually eat it, and like you've had some where they've just choked you. It's definitely top 2 just because of the fact of how fun it is. I mean, it's just super fun. Like you said, throw it on heavy braid, because at the pond that when we were fishing it, there's a lot of grass on top, and when they get in that grass, it's kind of like I tried to do it. I threw it on monofilament, and I had some trouble trying to get it out of the grass. So I definitely hope you pull it through the grass when you use braid.
So my number 2 is going to be a swim bait, and such a broad category, man. Swim baits come in literally every single size, every color possible. Like you can see right there, this is like 2.5, 3 inches. Can't remember exactly how, but this is like a 6-7 inch bait with a huge tail. And I mean, you can catch a 10 pounder on this, and you can catch a 1 pounder on this. Like it doesn't matter. They'll eat every size. And you can do so many things with them. Like here, I haven't got to these yet, but you can put it on a chatterbait. You can put it on an underspin. You can put it on a weedless underspin if there's grass or any type of cover around that you don't want your baits to get caught up in. You can put it on a regular jig head. And one of my absolute favorite ways to fish a swim bait, this little mega bass with the screw, you can see it spins. and I put this little 3-inch spark shad on there, also from Megabass, and it's just a killer combo. I fished up in Canada a few summers ago, and when I kid you guys not, I caught 70 plus fish. Me and my grandpa were counting on this one bait. Like, I went through about 4 packs of them. And you just throw it out there, let it sink about midway column, and just slowly roll it. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to add any pops, no nothing. The swim bait tail does it all. And there's literally so many different kinds that it's hard to narrow it down to a few of them. But like the rest of them, natural colors. This is a Pro Blue Red Pearl, I think it's called, and it's just a natural shad looking color. This one is Smallmouth Magic, I think it's called, but it honestly just looks like a little bluegill. Yeah, can't go wrong with those. Definitely a great bait.
So it's probably the moment
everyone's
been waiting for.
Number one.
Top bait. And this bait, I mean, I think it's insane how many fish I've caught. Like, not even just how many fish, but how many quality fish I've caught on this bait. And it's definitely going to be the chatterbait. All right, so this sexy shad color, it's more natural, as you can see. It kind of resembles some of the fish that may be in the places that you're fishing. And usually what I do is I put a swim, like you said, swim bait, so you can put on a chatterbait. That's what I usually do. It's commonly called the chatter donk, and it definitely catches
donks.
How to say, some donkey fish. So this is definitely my top bait, just because, like I said, the fact of how many fish that I've caught on this, it's just insane. Like, I'll put the picture up, but I caught like I think it was like a 4.3 pounder or something like that on this at one of the ponds we went to. It was filled out and everything, but this is actually one I just bought. Jay actually put me onto this, the jackhammer. One time at the antique place, we were both fishing chatterbaits, but he had a jackhammer, I had an original, and he was just catching fish. I'm like, dude, what are you doing something different? Like, are you retrieving it different? And he's like, no, honestly, it's probably the jackhammer. He's like, it just vibrates differently than a normal. So
they're $15 a piece for a reason, guys.
Yeah. So I had some gift cards, so I was like, I might as well, since I have gift cards, go ahead and buy me one. So I bought one, and hopefully I can put it to good use here soon. So
yeah, and like you said, definitely number one is the chatterbait for me too. This is, like you said, the jackhammer. I fish it so much that I don't have any more left, if that makes any sense. It's because I break them off, because I just constantly have one tied on. But this is a jackhammer, but it's the one with the clear blade, and I like to throw this one in more clear water, or when there's not a lot of wind. They still kind of want something reactive. Bluegills are firing around. Definitely like a green pumpkin color in those. You don't want to go too crazy with that. These are the original chatterbaits. These are in like the $7 to $8 range. So if you were to go out and get a chatterbait, definitely I would start with one of these. I recommend you guys putting this on like a medium heavy rod. You're just literally trying to get a reaction strike. Put a little crawfish imitator on the back if you're trying to imitate, a little bluegill, or a crawfish if you're hopping it off the bottom. We're gonna probably utilize this spring is that red color, and Z-Man has like a fire craw color in all their chatterbait line, and we just saw like they released a new mini max chatterbait that should get bit pretty good when the water's cold and they don't want something so big like a regular size chatterbait. But yeah, I definitely got some jackhammers on the way. We're definitely gonna be utilizing those a lot this year because they've caught way too many fish to not be utilized as they should.
If you're having like struggles with baits when bass aren't biting my reaction baits like chatterbaits or crankbaits or anything like that, just go to something slower, because sometimes the fish like it slower. I mean, they're not as active. If they're active, they'll usually hit the reaction baits. Yeah. So if you're struggling, go move down to a slower bait like a Texas rig or a jig or anything of that nature, because like I said, you can hop it off the bottom and kind of slow it down. You can pause it, which kind of with the reaction baits, you kind of burn it through the water, so you don't really get a chance to pause it or anything. One thing I'd say, like probably a jerk bait you can pause. That's about.
Oh yeah, that was very close to making my top 5. Like any type of jerk bait, like the fluke or the jerk bait with the treble hooks, those have caught a lot of fish for me too, especially up in Canada, fishing for those smallmouth. Like I was talking about earlier with the Ned rig and the little swim bait.
Honestly, our best weather conditions have definitely been cloudy and probably around 50 to 60 degrees.
Cloudy, windy, not ideal weather. Like everybody thinks the best time to go fishing is when it's sunny, calm, and hot. But no matter what conditions, just get out there.
Something that I've learned through fishing is like there's not really any rules to it. So like we're giving you all these tips and tricks, but there's really not like a specified like handbook of how to fish. Like you can really do anything you want and probably catch a fish. So
Perfect example of that is me fishing my frogs when we first, KG and I started first throwing them at this pond. I had like a heavy ass 7'6" rod with 50-pound braid, and he was catching more fish on the spinning rod with what, like 20, 30
it
pounds
was like
of
30
braid.
pound, yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter as long as you're putting the baits in the right spot and, you know, using the techniques that you find work for yourself and that you have confidence in. That's definitely your best bet. You know, there's, like you said, there's no rules.
I also don't recommend throwing a frog on a spinning rod.
Yeah, don't
honestly, because I had some tough times with that.
Getting them out of the grass.
That and like trying to like work the reaction how you want. It's
Yeah.
just way easier to use bait caster. So I'd recommend throwing a frog on a bait caster. I would definitely be doing that next time. But other than that, there's really not any other rules to fishing. I mean,
Yeah.
just do whatever you want to do, and if it works for you, it works for you. But I mean, these are just tips that have helped us fish, so we wanted to share those with you guys. So
Right. I mean, if you're just starting out, go get yourself one spinning rod and one bait caster, and you can throw every single one of these baits on the table.
yeah, I guess just stay tuned for the next video. I'm not too sure what your next video will be, but mine,
It's day by day.
I was gonna say it's kind of day by day because, as I said in my last video, it's really cold here and
It's only
everything's
getting
frozen.
colder.
Yeah, as I say, like
Yeah.
today was like high of 13. This morning it was
Low
like negative -1.
-5, bro.
Yeah, it was insane. So everything's frozen right now, so it's really hard for us to fish. So the next video, I'm not sure if it'll be a fishing video yet. I might do some more tips and tricks videos, but
Yeah.
just stay tuned for the next one and hit the subscribe button.
BFO Vandy, KG,
KG, yep.
we're out. See you guys.